Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and our new series of our online interviews. And yeah, my pleasure. Good morning, first of all, from Switzerland to England. We have Ivan Fairhall here from Mawson Gold, the CEO, and also good evening to Australia with Michael Hudson, the executive chairman of Mawson, but also the managing director of Southern Cross Gold. And you see, ladies and gentlemen, we are doing like a duo interview because a lot of good things happened with Mawson Gold and also the spin out Southern Cross. So, gentlemen, how are you?
Very good. Nice to speak to you again.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. Fantastic. Ivan, I like to start with you already because you guys had some great news releases out. And let's get started maybe with the spin out of Southern Cross. And how do you see it? You also want to do an IPO here quite soon. And what's going on? Why have you done that?
Sure. Look, this is the Southern Cross spin out, something we've been talking about for a while, and it's now in execution stage. And the news release just put out was really to update investors a little bit more of the details of the spin out, as well as what it kind of means for Mawson and our intentions with that company post the spin out. So, Southern Cross is a great example of value creation projects acquired less than 2 years ago, and we've incubated those within Mawson, and they now have significant value, and importantly have enough about them that they can go and live their own life in the capital markets. And so we have that opportunity to spin the company out and create value for shareholders that way. And the recent funding round that we've just done down in Australia, raising $2.75 million, funds that company now separately from Mawson. And that puts a value on that company, which demonstrates really how much value has been created down there in Australia.
Yeah, super. And you're still holding like 84.6% by now. So when do you think an IPO could happen, and what do you expect to raise there? Because I think this is a great chance to get more money in 2000 Cross and get everything financed, but Mawson has not to pay for, right?
Exactly. So the money that was just raised values Mawson's stake in Southern Cross today at Canadian $13.7 million. I think it's amazing to point out to shareholders that that's 1/3 of the value of Mawson today. And these are assets which we don't believe are really being reflected fairly in the value of the company. Don't forget, we've got Raipalot up there in Finland with over 1 million ounces equivalent. That's really the main focus of the company. And clearly, hiding down in Australia, there was an asset of significant value, and that's really why we're spinning it out. So the IPO, Mike can give you a little bit more details about the timing and structure, but the plan is to raise an additional $8 to $10 million Australian down there, and that values Mawson at $30 million, values Southern Cross rather at a $30 million market cap, and Mawson will hold something like 55 to 58% of that company moving forward post financing.
Okay, super. Great. Yeah, Michael, let's come to you because you guys brought on, you are the managing director of Southern Cross, but also you're still with Mawson, of course. So it looks like that in the Victorian goldfields, that is something really big you are on when I look at the drill results today.
We've got a tiger by the tail, Jochen, no doubt. And no, we're very excited. And we've got a conference. We're going back to the hands-on conferences here in Australia now, and there's a conference over the next few days and around Victorian gold. And I think it's from an industry perspective, it's a gold field that's one of the supersonic gold fields of the world. Only the two gold fields in Australia that matter are Kalgoorlie, the Golden Mile, and Victoria in terms of their global significance. But we haven't produced more gold here in Victoria since over 106 years. So it's taken us a long time to reinvigorate this or have the renaissance. And we are leading that. We have, the Sunday Creek project is one of the leading, if not the leading discovery outside the current mines. We have, Fosterville, the highest grade gold mine on earth. Sitting here, we've got Costerfield just a long strike from our projects, the 6th highest grade gold mine, and it's working. And then over the last week or so, we put out new results, of course. So Sunday, we've got 3 projects down here. Sunday Creek is where the spectacular results are coming. I think our last release had 3 meters at over 50 grams on the biggest step out going to depth, the best holes at depth. But what we just put out was on the Roo field. It's one of the most significant epizonal style deposits. These epizonal style is what produces these very rich deposits like Fosterville. We drilled under the deepest hole ever in that field, and we've hit 60 centimeters at 50 grams, which is a fantastic result and very similar to the Costerfield mine, the sixth highest grade gold mine on earth, mines at around those thicknesses and grades. So first hole underneath the pit ever at depth, and so we've got our second highest grade, high grade project to follow up, and then of course we've just put out today the results, or a summary of results, on Redcastle, which is a fantastic project, 17 kilometres of mineralisation along strike from Costerfield, 6 ready drill targets to go back to there, gold everywhere at surface and in every drill hole. We just want to find a high-grade part of that system, which we haven't yet, but it's there to be found.
Super. So with the money from the IPO, you have really enough money to drill it hard, right, this year?
Yeah, absolutely. $10 million, 8 to 10, as Ivan mentioned, which will be a 2-year budget from the prospectus. A 2-year budget. And if everything goes better, of course, we've got the flexibility to raise more money. If the price is going up and gold's doing what it's doing now, there'll be a lot of enthusiasm to ramp those programs up. So we're very excited. The timing, of course, is superb. We're lodging our prospectus in early March, which will then lead to a 6 to 8 week period where it's with the Australian Stock Exchange, and they'll do all their reviews, etc. So we should be trading within 6 to 8 weeks of that lodgement. So that means in early May, and then we're really off to the races, and creating value for Southern Cross shareholders. Mawson, and Ivan can talk about this, has a huge strategic position there, and then it keeps it a very tight structure also from just the pre-IPO, which was oversubscribed. We were looking for 2 million, we found 3 million, so we know the appetite's there to bring these assets back home to Australia.
Fantastic. Ivan, I saw also in your press release that you are holding the shares, so meaning that you are not disseminating the shares to the Mawson shareholders, and you have also like a 2-year holding escrow, right? So that you are restricted, you cannot sell. What made you to do this decision? Because quite often companies are giving the shares to their shareholders when they do a spin out. What made you the decision to hold them? Because I like the idea, honestly.
Yeah, sure. We thought carefully about our portfolio of assets, and we sort of took a step back and we said, how do we create value here? And the spin out is actually what creates the value. We take assets and we shine a light on them with, fit for purpose, capital market strategy, dedicated and the right investor base, dedicated board and management team, and a dedicated pool of funding to go and execute on their plan. And so through the IPO and the private funding round we've just done, that's actually creating a new thing that can go on and live its own life. And the IPO is obviously just the beginning, as Mike said. We've got, huge, we see huge upside from there potentially, as, we have one of the best discoveries down there, and we've got this Australian market who are hungry for a piece of this Victorian Renaissance, which has really been dominated by the Canadians who have gone in and rediscovered Fosterville. And so that's where we see the value being created in that. And when it comes to the distribution or the decision to hold the shares, we just saw so much more optionality, and we saw Mawson being much stronger as a company holding that stake. So the stake itself is obviously an asset that potentially Mawson can use in the future to fund the Raya Plot project. That's probably the most obvious thing that holding it does. It also creates look-through value in the short term, strengthens Mawson's capital structure. It helps having a larger market cap obviously helps us attract and hold those really important institutional shareholders that we already have on our register. And we, of course, maintain the option to distribute it in the future after that 2-year hold period. And the great thing about post the 2-year hold period is we can distribute part of our shareholding, whereas the ASX was telling us we must either distribute it all or nothing. And so post 2 years, we'll be able to just distribute a smaller proportion of it if that seems like the right thing to do. Mike alluded to also, we think Southern Cross itself will be stronger, not distributing shares. Potentially some people won't really know what to do with their ASX listed shares and they will look to sell them. That will make Southern Cross weaker, which in turn destroys value for Mawson shareholders. So holding it together in one package strengthens Southern Cross, strengthens Mawson. And of course, Mike also alluded to the fact that it is a very large position and a strategic stake. And we all know that those large control type positions do have strategic value in and of themselves.
Perfect. So that's a win-win situation for all of us.
I think so.
Yeah, perfect. Michael, one question I have, of course. Mandalay Resources Costerfield mine. Are you on the traces of a second Costerfield?
Absolutely. If you look at our press release, we actually articulated, I think, quite clearly the thicknesses and grades that work for Costerfield, and it's very hard for people to really understand, a width and a grade and what does it mean, and often we're used to seeing thick lower grade intersections, but what do the thin high grade ones mean? And Costerfield averages about 40 centimeter structure that mines at 60 grams, and so then they have a mining width that's 2 meters wide, and that dilutes the grade down to about 12 grams, which makes it, as I've said already, the sixth highest grade gold mine in 2020 globally. So we found something that's very similar at Rue, 60 centimeters at 50 grams. That falls right in that sweet spot. The challenge, of course, is to find the continuity of those structures. And we know this field extends over 14 kilometers and was mined for decades and decades near surface by the old timers in the 1800s. So we know the field has got some level and degree of continuity. The question is around those high grade structures in a modern sense. And I should say that we've got the mine lease extensions essentially of Costerfield at our other project called Redcastle. So they're thin high grade. At Sunday Creek, we've got the benefit of very high grades, meters at ounces, but we've also got 10 to 20 meters around that. So that's a slightly different, more Fosterville style deposit, Sunday Creek, in terms of the distribution of grade.
Fantastic. Super. Gentlemen, thank you very much. It was a great first insight, and I have a very strong feeling that we will talk in the future a lot more about both companies, because you are definitely in elephant territory. Finland, Australia, love it. It's perfect setup, and thanks for taking the time today, and all the best, and see you soon.
Thanks, Jochen.
Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Ivan Fairhall, the CEO of Mawson Gold, and also Michael Hudson, the managing director of Southern Cross Gold, and he's also the executive chairman of Mawson Gold. You heard it. The spin out is very successfully so far. The IPO is quite close around the corner, so money will be raised here, enough money for the next 2 years for Southern Cross Gold. Mawson has not to pay for that. That is also fantastic. So Mawson can really concentrate on Finland. Southern Cross can concentrate on Australia, but altogether it's a win-win situation for all shareholders, and I'm also a shareholder of Mawson Gold. So check out the companies. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.